Right, what I've just done off camera is I've cleaned the axle shaft and you can see there, just recoated it in like waterproof sort of grease stroke anti-seize compound, and I'm going to put all the stuff back on in order that it came off. Put it the right way around first. So spacer onto in a wheel. Now hopefully this will come off because it was loose. That's good. So you've got the caliper bracket went on, then the spacer, and then you would have normally had the swing arm, then the wheel adjuster, and then obviously your washer and your bolt. And it's a good idea to do this so you get everything in the right order. I'm going to do the same up to the side, so I'll just spin this round. So what you've got with this one, big spacer, which actually I'll just pull that back through because you've got a position, that's it. Goes in at an angle because of the washers on them bolts. And I've also got the original, because the number plate bracket that was on the side of this is going to be getting modified and bolted to the back axle so that the number plate's on the back. That's the original wheel spacer for the adjuster with the slot in it that came off this side originally. So that can go back on there. Washer back on, and then the nut. And basically what you've got now is everything's back on the, but it's all in order. So you know, this might sit for a frigging year. There again, I might sell it next week, you never know. But at least you know where everything was meant to be. So it's a good idea if you're putting something into storage, put it together like that. So I'm just going to get this wheel out of the way. And I'm going to jack the bike back up a bit. The next steps on what I'm doing today sort of thing is I'll take the rear foot pegs off, because I'll just adjust this camera so you can see better. In fact, I'm going to knock you off for a second. I'll bring you back when I've got set up properly. Right, I've just knocked you off and put you pretty much straight back on, because I can actually show you here why the foot pegs need to come off. That's the bolt that comes through off your foot peg, and as you can see there, it's sticking through, and this bit here where my finger is, that's the swing arm. And it's the same on that side. If I get it in the right place, there's the bolt sticking through, and that behind it's the swing arm. So you need to take your foot pegs off so that you can then pull the swing arm out when you've got all the shaft and everything out. There's this plate to take off. But yeah, that's basically why you've got to take your rear foot pegs off. So right, I'll knock you off again and then get set up in a better place, and I'll come back. Right, I'm just going to whip these rear foot pegs off. When you take your foot peg off, I don't know if you'll see this so well on this side, but I'll show it on that side. Pull the actual foot peg out, but what will come out with it is like a spacer. So make sure you don't lose that, because without that spacer, your foot peg goes all sloppy and rattles about. So I'll just put the nut and bolt on that temporarily. Just sit that down there. Right, same on this side. Right, I lost the battery then. So I don't know how far I'd got with this bit here, but nut off. I was just about to take the bolt out. The bolt out. Now I'll take the foot peg off, and as I say, what comes with it is the spacer. And now there's a big Allen head bolt inside here, so I'll just knock you off a second, get my right size Allen key on back. Right, the Allen key in, and basically just loosen her off. Straightforward as that. But same as last time I did these, it seems that it's tight all the way. So, just keep winding. Now you could actually stop once it gets past the inside, but you might as well take them off. Plus I've got a little thing I'm going to be doing. Which I'll show you soon. So that's your Allen head bolt that sits through the middle of the foot peg. So do the same one to the side. This side's even more awkward because there's an exhaust in the way. And that's that side foot peg off. So next step for me anyways, just get that wiring out of the way. I'll get the right size socket, and we'll take these bolts out the bottom of this plate and take this splash plate off. Make sure I've got the right size, which I have. out of the way, get my little snips. There's a little cable tie here holding the brake line. I'll just snip the cable tie, and then as you can see that just comes loose and lifts off. And then we're starting to get into the nitty gritty of the swing arm. So I'll just knock you off and get some tools sorted out and then be back again. Right, what we've got down here is actually shocks just here, that one and that one. So you've got to undo your shock bolts. I just, before I switch the camera back on, I just locked the, just cracked the bolts so it was loose. And it's a slow process taking these off, but both sides basically to undo, and then your shocks, once your shocks are off, your swing arm will move freely, and then we can start taking the centre out, and there's spaces and everything inside this, which I'll show you as I go. So what I'll do is I'll knock you off and I'll undo these and get them out so that the shocks are free. But basically that's all you're doing, is you're just winding these bolts out that I've just showed you there. It's just like it goes through into that bit, through the top of the shock, or the end of the shock, whichever way you want to look at it. But it's slow going, so let's say I'll knock you off, I'll come back when I've got these unbolted. Right, undone the bolts. You can see there the swing arm's now free. So the next step is basically let's remove the swing arm, which makes sense. Let's move some stuff. Now if you've got covers on over your swing arm pivot shaft, remove them first, both sides. I've already removed the other side just for speed. What you want next is the right size socket, which as usual I haven't got it on me. I think just pick that one up first. The size of the socket is a 15/16. So, grab my ratchet, wherever that's gone. Here we go. And basically just loosen it off and it'll be fucking tight. So you're going to hold the back end down. Obviously I'm on a jack here, so that's fucking tight. Side spinning. Nope. Right, it is tight obviously, just you tighten it up to a good torque when you're putting it together. But basically just take the shaft off, sorry, the nut off the end of the shaft and the washer. Just set that to one side. Now on a standard swing arm, this next step is pretty straightforward. Basically what you do is you just push, obviously I'd have to have a tap of that, but you start knocking your shaft through and you can take your spaces off and everything, and the swing arm stays in place because there's a little like a sleeve that comes in from each side. But because this is a modified swing arm, the sleeve's in two pieces. So on the standard one, you offer your swing arm up, line the holes up, the sleeve comes through the bearing in the swing arm and then comes into the frame side here, and the same on the other side. And it basically, your swing arm stays in place even though you haven't got a shaft or any of the spaces in. But with the way this has been modified, you can't put whatever I've just, the sleeve, you can't put that in and then put your spacers in. You've got to put the sleeve, half of the sleeve in and the spacer in, and then offer it all up. Because of the way that the swing arm's been modified, the spacer won't go in because of this bit here, but on standard it can. So I'll just find find my mallet again, my little nylon hammer, which shouldn't be too far away because I've only just fucking used it before. That's here. So I just sort of take the weight of the swing arm itself and just give that a tap. You can see it wasn't tight, but what I'm going to do, just so it supports the swing arm a little bit, I'm just going to shove this bar in, well, tap it in should I say, and just leave that there like that. Now you don't have to do this with a standard swing arm, but all it means is I can get to this side, take the weight, pull the shaft out, and the swing arm stays in place. Now I've actually pulled the swing arm pivot shaft out. What I can also do, if I can get my fingers in there, is take out the spacer from the right hand side, and on the standard swing arm you'd be able to reach in and take the left hand side spacer out. But as I say, because this swing arm's modified, I can't do that. But as you can see, I've took the spacer out of this side, yet the swing arm still moves, is staying in place and just swings. Now to get it to come out, I have to just take the weight on this side of it and push with my finger, and you've got to be careful when doing this not to trap your finger. Right, and what I've just done there, that sleeve that I was on about, that I seem to have just lost, there it is, that's the sleeve that goes through the swing arm and into the frame. Now on a standard swing arm you've got that on both sides, but on this swing arm, because it's modified, you haven't. But if you notice, now I've took the sleeve out, the swing arm's loose, as in it's moving about where it shouldn't be. But if I now take out this, in fact I'll just move myself, get out of the swing arm to support it and pull that rod out, there's a little sleeve just came out there, that was the other half. And now I can just take the swing arm off and just rest it on the floor for a second, lift the brake caliper back out of the way and just hang that over there for now, and I'll find that sleeve. Now I'll go back to this side, hopefully you can see this, can't see properly myself. Right, I'm just going to move this camera slightly. Zoom out a touch, because I don't know what you can see. Right, I'm just going to pull this belt up out of the way. Right, on here, there's your spacer. Now, the spacer's, although it's a different size, I think. No, it looks as if it's the same. The spacer, that's what you can take out of a standard swing arm while the swing arm's still in. But on this one, the way it works, you can see here you've got a big pocket. That's the other part of the sleeve that sits in the frame. Now you have to have that on this one with this swing arm, because obviously it goes in the hole in the frame, and then the shaft not that you can see what I've just done, but the shaft pivot bolt, the swing arm pivot shaft goes through the end of that and it stops it rattling about in the frame. But then what's left in here, if I take it out, is the other half. Now on a standard swing arm, as I've said, that would be the same as the other side, but because of this one being modified, it had to be done in 2 halves. So that is the swing arm removed, and I'll just stick that to one side. Now with this Trike kit, the swing arm that comes for the Trike bolts in the same place, but it goes on like a standard swing arm would. So the spacers, they're going to be the same, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of new ones of them the right length. So where is it? There. That's the one that came out of the right hand side, and they're both meant to be the same each side. So I'll make a new pair of them because I want to keep this pair, that's the one that's split, I'll keep it with the swing arm, so that if I sell the whole back end, the person who buys it has got all the right gear to put the fat back end into their bike. But as I say, I'll just make a pair of them new ones, and I might even make a new pair of spacers, you know, maybe make some shiny ones. But as I say, the swing arm when it comes bolts into the same place, bolts in the same onto your shockers at the bottom, and what it states on the advert is that you can just pop your bearings out of your swing arm and use your original bearings in the new Trike swing arm. But rather than do that, I've actually just bought a new set of bearings to go in, so I won't be doing that. Now then, what do I want to do next? Right, I'm just going to knock you off for now while I have a bit of a weigh up of which way I want to go next with this. I'll be back soon. Right, the next step on this strip down is I'm going to take off the exhaust system, and it's pretty straightforward, same on any bike, on any Harley, whatever. Take off the heat shields first, and then basically undo it at the heads, undo the bracket down here, take the exhaust system off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to whip these covers off. I'll knock you off while I do that, and then I'll come back when I'm ready to start taking it, unbolting it from the heads, etc. So I'll be back soon. Right, I've got the heat shields off, so I'm going to crack the bolts that hold it on the head, the 1/2 inch bolts. Now if I push this brake lever forward, I've got to be careful because I've got a fucking disc in that caliper. Right. Well, ratchet's playing up. What I've also done, which I should have said straight away, is I've sprayed some of that on the bolt, on the studs in the heads, because obviously they get the heat and that off the exhaust. So they should. It is nice when they come, you can see that the bolt's wet, because obviously I sprayed it with that stuff I've just showed you. But it is nice when stuff comes off easy. Right, let's get another extension. just a shorter extension there so I can avoid the brake pedal. Right, so the nut dropped off and flew off somewhere, which is just here, and the socket shot off, so I'll just grab the socket. Right, I'll undo these rear head bolts. Don't know where that's just gone. Dropped her on top of the gearbox. There it is. So that's one of the bolts off. Sorry, the nuts. Fucking hell. Oh. I don't know whether that's coming off or not. Give me a torch and have a look. Oh, see if I can find the torch. Yeah, it's coming off. And that's the other nut off. So what's to do now? Let me just turn you slightly. Move that out of the way. Down under here, I'll move this brake caliper out of the way. Down under here, there's some bolts. I don't think they're 1/2 inch. No, I didn't think they were. I'll just get a socket. Now hopefully I can get on with these. I can't remember whether I had to use a spanner. No, I can get on. Socket stuck. Right, and as you can see there, the exhaust's loose. Watch the chrome. Get the flange to break loose. Come on. I've just spotted something up there. No, I haven't. I thought I had what looked like a spring washer stuck up there then. Right, just being a bit tight on the flange. Pain to catch it on. They're not usually that bad to get off, but it just doesn't seem to want to free itself off. That's it, got it. Right, and that's the exhaust system off, which I'll stick over here. Now I won't be reusing that exhaust system because it won't fit on at the back end with the Trike axle. So I'll be buying a new exhaust system for it, but I'm not 100% sure what yet. She hasn't made her mind up what sort of pipe she likes. Plus, until I've got some measurements with the axle in, I'm not 100% sure what I can actually fit. Right, now the next couple of things to do to this bike is like drain the fuel tank and take that off, and then remove the forward controls. But I think for today that'll do me. I've got on a little bit further than I thought I was gonna, so that's one good thing. Right, so I'll knock you off for now, and we'll come back again later on. Well, probably tomorrow when I can be bothered. Right, catch you later.